Hello, it's me again, Stoo, and welcome to part 7. Part 7, eh? Who'd have thought? Part 7. I was only supposed to do a couple, but yeah, strange. I should have had this done by now, really, shouldn't I? Anyway, what am I doing in this one? Doing the mouse, hopefully getting the external drive done, and maybe adding some grubbiness to the rest of the stuff that's left to do. And of course, the front panel, which will be in part 8. And part 8 will be the final part, so which should be fantastic because I'll be glad to see the back of this in a nice way, of course. My little journey of doing recording myself drawing has taught me a lot, actually. Taught me a lot about how to sort of prep it, how to do a lot of the presentation of it, and also not what to do. You know, things how the things shouldn't be done, and you know. I've kept it fairly uniform all the way through because I didn't want to keep the I didn't want to change the format of these videos from the first one to the last one. So the next set I do will probably be a lot different. Well, not say a lot different, it'll be a bit different. So anyway, doing this after I've done the mouse. I'm going to get down here and do the mouse. The mouse shouldn't take too long. I've got the cable to do. I did do a slight adjustment to this bit here, which wasn't quite, a little bit extreme, that curve there. So I've just smoothed it off a little bit. And I noticed a little bit there. I've got to fiddle that out. So let's do that now. Get that out. That's the base fill. I think it was on that one. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, just trying to tidy up a few of these bits and pieces. Now the reason it's important to get a lot of this edging finish is because when I put them into Affinity Designer, which is the software I use to do my layouts, and Affinity Publisher, I've noticed I sometimes have like an effect, and sometimes you notice that there might be slight sort of artifacting in the alpha channel where you've deleted something, but you don't see it because it's, you know, it's an alpha value of like 1 or something. So, which is fine, but when you add like a little effect, like sometimes when I do these, I might have like a layer effect on the actual illustration where there might be like a little slight drop shadow or something just to stand it out from the background, and it'll pick up on the alpha and it just looks a bit weird. So I try and get these as tidied up as I possibly can before I export them. So right, without further ado, let's get this done. So first thing, I'm going to get this top bit sorted out. Now, on the reference image I've got, this is actually a lighter grey, but because on the early Amigas I think these came in different colours, I'm going to keep it to this kind of like more darker version, just because I just think it looks a little bit more contrast to the case. I mean, the one I've seen in the photo was a bit sort of grey, and it just didn't look like how I remember it actually. So I'm going to get that done now. So as usual, I'm going to select the top bit, get the top bits highlighted first, and then I'll work my way through the rest of it. I'm just going to move my microphone over a bit because I've pushed it near to my keyboard, but it's a little bit too near. What I really need to do is get one of those ones that overhang, that come down, mount it on the ceiling or something, it down so that it's not on my desk. Because this new microphone I've got, this I can't remember what it's called now. I'll put a link to what it is on the edit, but it's a Trust one, and yeah, it's really pleased with it. But it's because it's on my desk, I find it's slightly in the way when I'm working, because I've got like my graphics tablet in front of me and I've got my keyboard propped up behind the graphics tablet, so like my right hand's on the tablet, my left hand's ready for the keys. But I've got to be a bit careful, because if I move me hand out the way too quickly, I can knock the mic, and you might get a bit of a movement on it. But anyway, that's enough of that. So let's put where are we? That's on there. So we got the there's the fill. Right, so let's go on to me shader. It's going to be a highlight of this layer, so just put some of that on there. A little bit highlighted about that, I think. Well, that's probably better, that one actually, isn't it? Yeah, I'll go with that one. Right, okay, and let's go up a bit. That one or that one? I think I'll go for that one. I'm not going to be too worried too much, because it's just a little bit of detail, just to, you know, give it a bit of depth. So I'm not going to spend too long on these bits, because they really are quite irrelevant in terms of the overall image. They're just background I'll say irrelevant. It's not really relevant, but you know what I mean. It's just there's not a lot of detail on it, so I've just got to make sure it stands out and it looks like it's in that part of the image rather than being 2D with solid colour. There will be a little bit of a shadow coming down here, so I'll leave a little bit of room there for that, and I'll just bring these up here. And most of this is pretty much just solid like that, and then I'll just do the other bit. I've been looking at the other posters of the other illustrations I've done, and the idea of those ones was just to have all the specs on the machine. And I don't know, I've looked at them. I'm not sure I like them. You know, I'm not like them, but I'm not sure they work as I'm looking at them now. So I might actually do a rehash of some of these illustrations as a different style of poster. Maybe make them a little bit less busy with all the text. Just the artwork. I'm going to play with a few ideas when I get time and see if I can come up with something. And the same with the canvas prints. The canvas prints look really, really good, by the way. I'm really, really pleased with the way they come out. But again, I've had a few people say they don't like the grey background. You know, so I've looked at maybe adding some different background colours to the canvas prints, so that if you've got particular kind of wall and you don't want it to be that particular colour, then we can, you know, you can choose a slightly contrasting background colour if you want. I mean, to be honest, as far as I'm concerned, it's not really a big deal, because most of the canvas, unless I've got any in stock, most of the orders are basically prints order with my printer. They just when I send an order in, they send me whatever the order is, and I then go through and process them. So I don't tend to have a lot of them in stock. I mean, I did used to carry a lot of the fodder ones, the can of fodder ones in, and I carried a lot of the A500 chips. I had a few of those in because they sold quite a lot when I first brought those out. But the other ones, they're all print to order, where I just put the order in and they send them through to me. So really, adding extra colours to the canvas is it's not really that much of a big deal for me. So you know, it's not too bad. So that's that bit there. Again, I've just had a little bit of highlight there, just to bring it sort of bring a bit of depth to it. A little bit on the edge there, and this is all being shadow. So I'm going to add the shadow now to this section, and let's bring that down to, let's do about 10. That's it. All right, okay. I do, and we're going to go for quite like that one. I did play around with some colours over here, didn't I? So let's bring that up. I think that one's the one I like. Bring that there. Yeah, so we'll put that in there, and I'm just going to bring this down. It's not going to be that much because the shadow's coming in from here, so it won't really cast down here. So on here, I just really want to make this more of a subtle shade, so I'll go for that one and just bring it in like that. There we go. So it's picking up a little bit of the darkness from there, and the rest of it is you know, it's just picking up the edge. I'm going to do a little bit on this edge here. Now here it's raised up a bit, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to erase the bit I've probably put on there, and I'm going to bring some highlight in there. But before I do that, I'm going to just go back to this bit. I'm going to shade this bit up as well, so that one is got the right bit of shadow on it. But because this is nearer to this, so you're not going to get the shadows coming in from here, so this bit will be sort of in shadow, but this bit won't be so much because it's already in shadow for the most of it. So I don't want to get too carried away with, like, ray tracing and that sort of malarkey. And I'm going to put a little bit on the edge here, because this, although this is drawn like it's really, you know, up close, they never sit dead flush. They're always like a little bit of a gap. So to give that impression that it's actually plugged in rather than being actually attached, I'll put a little bit of shadow in here, which I'll do shortly. And that way it just carries that illusion a bit more. So I'm not going to do the whole lot of that. I'm going to just put it across there, and then I'll do that again. Right, okay. So like if I see, you can kind of just see that coming in now. So I'm going to just go up there on the opacity, bring it down, and I just want to bring it so that it's a little bit like that. Bring the opacity down, shape the brush size up, and then when I come across it again with the brush, it should take it all down slightly. There we go. Yeah, so a little bit more, and then we're done. And then I'll just do the rest of it here. So I'm going to do this bit here, and again, because this is all part of the side, I can then start to play around with the little bit of an edge in there. So I'm going to bring the brush size down, take the opacity up to 10. It's just to give the impression that there's a little bit of a gap there, and you see it sort of just moving, nothing too much, just there. And then I'm going to go right down like that, because I think, I mean, look at it, it would probably go under a little bit like that, and then go up here, and then I can do a second pass a bit darker. I mean, I will go through again with a slightly darker brush and do the whole thing, so I've knackered it up there. So, and then we can get that up like that, 20%, bring that in there like that, there we go. And then I can bring this down. I don't like to go in too heavy to start with, because sometimes you look at it and you think, yeah, it's too much. So if you've seen any of the other videos, you'll see that I like to build things up with layers and just layering and layering and layering. And it's pretty much how I work when I do, like when I'm working on paper, you know, if I'm doing like a, you know, working with pencils or whatever, I tend to do the same approach where I just layer it up and layer it up and layer it up, and it just builds the overall image starts to appear, rather than to going in all hell, you know, all guns blazing and just right solid colour, which is all right if you're doing like a cartoony style. But for me, I just like to add a little bit here, a little bit there, and just keep going and going and going until I've actually built the whole image up. And I've always done that actually. When I was a kid and I used to draw, when I was in school, I used to draw stuff, and I'd always sort of do the same kind of thing where I'd be, you know, I'd just layering it up. I don't think I've ever taught that. I just naturally found that way. I just felt comfortable doing things like that. So yeah, so, but I mean, even that's, it's not quite. It's a little bit too much there. So I'll just erase that slightly. There we go. So just bring that in. There we go, and then that's it. So it's just to show that that's sticking out a bit, and it's just there. You know, put another little line in. I don't want to get too carried away with it, because there is a danger that you put too much in and then it kind of, the illusion is lost. So yeah, that's it. So it's just, so when you look at it, it's just there and it's not quite connected. And I mean, I'm going to put a slight highlight on this edge, not a lot, just a little bit. And if I turn it off, you'll see that that's not highlighted. So what I can do is, if I go in with me other brush and I erase it, in theory I should be able to just go down like that and it should bring that off, you know, like that. And then, I mean, the top, I mean, it's weird because you wouldn't really get the highlight, but it's just there to give you that little bit of an idea that it's actually plugged in. You know, I mean, I've done that a little bit too harsh there, so I'm going to go by hand because it's got pressure sensitivity. So what I'll do is I'll bring the opacity down to 50, just do that by hand and just touch there, so it's a little bit of a highlight but not too much, just so that it looks like that's in it, that the edge is beveled in there and it's just there. Bring that across. There you go. So yeah, that looks okay. Let's tackle the bottom bit. Do this bit here. Again, it's the same sort of thing. Coming down there, there's a little bit of a highlight on the edge, and that's it. You won't really get too much more than that. I mean, you can cheat and put a little bit here, even though you wouldn't get it. It's just maybe the plastic's raised up a little bit on the edging. And I mean, I've done it on a lot of things where you shade all edges with a little bit of a highlight, but you don't do too much. It's just a hint that is the, because when you look at certain mouldings, you do get sometimes a little bit of a raised bit on the outside, very slightly, and the light catches it. So in order to carry that on, you know, you kind of highlight little areas just to kind of give that impression that there's a little bit more of a depth there. Right, let's take that off. let's go to the highlight layer. I'm going to bring that in. Let's pick that nice one there, and I'm going to got that selected, and we can come in and just bring this in. It's highlighted a little bit there, so the plan is to come in with that like that, get the whole lot, and then bring that across, and I'm just highlighting it so it's, there you go, so it appears like it's actually angled up, you know, just giving that impression it's angled. I mean, the line's not exactly straight there, but I'm not too worried about that, because it's as I said before in my other videos, it's pretty loose, you know, it's not an exact you know, technical drawing. And then let's go and do these little bits as well. Put a little bit of highlight on these. I'm only going to do these edges in one sweep, so I'm going to put those bits there. These areas here I'm going to do separately, so I'm going to turn it on so I can see what I'm doing. And then we're good to go. So that's that. There we go. Right, so that's that. What I'll do when I do the next bit, I'm going to do that to time lapse, because I think it's probably going to get a little bit boring listening to me going on about how to shade this. Which you know, if you've watched my other videos, you'll see how I'm doing a lot of this stuff. You know, highlight that. You know, and you get that little bit of a curvature going on there, and you do get a little bit of the underside there, just highlighting. But I'm not going to do too much. Just hint at it and put that on there like that. And I'll darken this off in there. So let's get the darken area off, shade, bring that back, and just put that through there, just like that, so it's darker. And the same with this edge here, just so it's darkened it a bit, give it a little bit of a texture as well on there. And then I'm going to go into this one, unselect that lot, just bring this down. So just not that much though. Yeah, just bring that in there, just so it's darker. He says picking the wrong colour, Muppet. There we go. Just bring that down. Just want to darken it off a little bit so that it's not as prominent. Again, it's just highlighting areas and just you know, just tidying up all the little bits and pieces. So yeah, there you go. And I'm going to put a little bit of an edge on there, nothing too dramatic, just to show that that's in shadow slightly. I mean, a lot of these things I do, they're not really that obvious, but they're there just to reinforce the main sort of shading. You know, a lot of these things your eye don't really pick up on in a precise way, but when you know, you add all the parts together, all the parts make this one illustration work. And if you leave something out, sometimes it might stand out like a sore thumb. You don't know why, but then you see something, oh right, okay, I get that bit's not quite shaded correctly, or it's not quite right. And that's when you get to see all these little bits and pieces you know, doing their job. When you take them out, you think, oh yeah, you know, it just keeps the thing looking neat and tidy. So right, we've done that, and I'm probably going to do the next bit in time lapse, which is be the cable. So back in a sec with that. Okay, so I think the wire's looking okay. So I'm not going to go into too much detail because it's just a wire and it's just a, you know, a wire. Going to do a little bit of extra on here just to finish this edge off here, and I'm going to add a little bit of shading there, not too much because it's in shadow, so it just needs more of a blanket feel. Let's sort that out there. There we go. And to shade, let's go back to me that one there. Bring this up. Get that down to 5, I think, and just bring it down a little touch, just to, not a lot, just to give it that little texture. Because most of this is really just to give it that texture over the original fill colour, just so it's got a little bit of a, you know, a bit of oomph to it rather than just being plain fill. And one of the tricks I do on some of the other bits is you can put a little bit in the middle, just go down like that, and it just means that the outer edges are slightly lighter. If you look at any plugs and things, and you analyse the way the colours are fall across it, or you look at bits of plastic or anything that's moulded, you often see that the light will kind of like hit it, but it's not dead even. So you might get a slight little bit in the middle where you get a little bit of a darker area, and you don't really notice it in everyday life. But when you start analysing it, you see these little subtle sort of shading things going on, you know. So maybe not that much extreme, but you can go in and you can, you know, just little bits in the centre like that, and it just believe it or not, it actually adds to it. So take it off a little bit. There we go. So there we go, just like that. Maybe it's a little bit too extreme, that bit there. We'll take that down a little bit. There we go. So yeah, right, so that's that bit. Now let's get onto the mouse, which again is you know, it's something that we all are familiar with, the old Amiga mouse. I'm just on the other screen, I've actually got some mice images, a mouse image up, which is references, just so I can get kind of ideas for the colours. I know it's very similar, but the thing with the Amiga mouse is I noticed that you do get a slight variety in the colourings. It depends on what generation you get. You know, the actual mouse was pretty much the solid design all the way through the Amiga's life. I think it was only when they brought the AGA machines out that they changed it. Although, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm convinced they only brought out a new mouse with the AGA, but I might be mistaken there. But as far as I remember, I'm sure this particular, was it the 1531? Was the original kind of a mouse that they brought out, and remained pretty much the standard all the way through the Amiga's life. And yeah, but using one now, I mean, it amazes me how they you know, I used it really, because I mean, compared to the modern devices, they're pretty naff, I think. I mean, they feel okay in the hand, but when you use micro switched ones, you think, how the heck did I get on with this? You know, it's but you know, we didn't know any different back then, did we? You know, didn't know any. I mean, when I was working on the pixel art stuff, I did actually, I can't remember what mouse I used. I bought a third-party mouse which was micro switched, because these switches in these just didn't last that long. You know, when you're continually clicking, I mean, when you're doing pixel art and you're using left button to plot, right button to erase, and they just wouldn't last. I mean, I went through quite a few of these because you're just continually clicking, you know, more so than an average Amiga user would, because you're constantly like tapping them buttons, you know, and you think, you know, when you're doing pixel art, you're actually plotting each pixel individually. So the amount of use these things got was crazy, you know, it was absolutely crazy amount of the usage. But so I'm just glad that somebody had this idea to put micro switches in mouse buttons back then, because without that, I think I would have probably, you know, I don't know, I would own shares in Commodore, I think, to get the mice I'd had to buy. You know, so many. I went through so many of the things. So, but anyway, before I did this video, I actually went through and looked at some photos, and I got some pictures. So I got some proper colours for the mouse buttons. So again, I'm not going to get too precise with these. I'm just going to, you know, give them a kind of a sort of a hint at the shading. I mean, there's not really a lot to do on them, so I'm just basically just doing a bare minimum really to get these shaded up. I mean, there's not a lot really on them, so I mean, this end's a little bit there, and there's quite hard edges. So what I'll probably do is I'll probably take this black off and I'll put that on as a highlight, perhaps. I'm not sure. Let's get that. Let's add that bit to there. And there we go. So yeah, it's funny really when you look at the history of, like, you know, a lot of the devices. I mean, most people look at the machines, but when you look at all the peripherals that came out for the Amiga, you know, there's quite a few. You know, I mean, you look at the third-party ones that come out. Everyone was jumping on the bandwagon of supplying a Amiga mice and Amiga peripherals and disk drives. I mean, I used to have what was the name of them? Was it Kumana or something? What's the name of that external drive I had? We had a few of those, like a metal case on them. Very rarely. I mean, I don't recall ever wanting to buy an official Commodore external drive. I always bought the third-party ones because they, you know, one, they were more readily available, and we couldn't always get the Commodore ones, and often they were a bit cheaper. So it just seemed to make sense to do that back then, and you know. But I mean, you look at some of the old adverts, you can see all the stuff that we used to look at and think, oh yeah, next time I get paid, I'm going to get this and I'm going to get that, and you know, oh, all these devices and all these things you'd kit out with your Amiga. The only thing I wish I'd have got for this model was a hard drive at some point, but they were so expensive back then. I mean, the A1000 hard drives were ludicrously expensive, and probably only held like, you know, 10 gig, or no, not even gig, was it? It was not even a gig. It was probably only about like 20 meg or something crazy. Such a small drives, but it would have cost like hundreds of pounds. So I mean, back then I just used, I think I had this with the external drive, but even then, I mean, I remember thinking adding another external drive used to take up a bit of memory as well. Yeah, crazy, you know. So it's amazing how things change, isn't it? You know, we take so much for granted now. You know, it's crazy. I'm just adding a little bit of an overlap there. It's just to give that little bit of a texture to the button, so that it keeps it in line with the rest of the illustration, so it's not all flat colour. I mean, it's very subtle, but you do get a little bit of a pick up of that when you look at it. So got that on there, and I think that's the dark bit of the button pretty much done. I'm going to switch to this brush, and I'm going to just put a little bit on here, just because I can, and just to bring that down a little bit more, just to take that edge off. That's it, just like that. There we go. And bring that down. Do the same to this one, because it does actually, I think it does indent slightly on that side. Just goes over the edge. There's a little bit of a bevel to that. And I mean, I said before in my previous videos, I've not done this illustration to be, you know, 100% like a technical drawing. It's quite a loose, so when you look at the lines, they're not tight at all, they're quite loose, but it's just there to kind of hint that it works as it is. Okay, so that's that bit. Let's go for the highlights. We'll go for, that's probably a good highlight to put on now. Go in and put a little bit on here, because it's at the top and it's just catching the light at the top. It's funny when you look at a lot of reference photos, you kind of see a pattern, like shading patterns with like the cases. Now you kind of see, even with the lights coming from different light source, you see a pattern of where the shading lies, and you get something, you know. And I notice a lot of them, the mouse buttons, there's always a little bit of a highlight at the top. Yeah, not a lot, just a tiny little bit, but you get, it's just enough to show that it's there. You know, and again, when you get to the side, you get like a little bit of a highlight on the side, but not a great deal, you know, because the buttons weren't really that pronounced on these. They didn't stick out a lot. They were enough, obviously, to do the function, but they never really sort of stood out a great deal. And when you compare this to, say, like the modern sort of devices, you know, these all sit flush now, don't they, on the modern devices? But these were a little bit raised, so I'm just going to hint at that here. and I'm going to put a little bit of a line on there. I'm going to just bring that up a touch. I'm going to put a little bit of a line along this edge here, and again, it doesn't have to be that precise. I mean, my hand's aching today. I don't know why. I think I was shifting a load of stuff about, and that's the problem being an artist. When you do stuff that's outside your normal sort of remit of day-to-day jobs, it's very easy to knacker your hand doing something stupid like shifting boxes in the loft, or you know, moving stuff in the shed or whatever, and you end up knackering your hand. You think, oh god. It's like, no. So but I try to be as careful as I can when I'm doing stuff, because I know that if I'm right-handed, so if I you know, do something on my fingers, it can impact my performance when I'm working. And I mean, a while ago I did I had a hangnail on my pointer finger, and rather than do the obvious thing, which is to go upstairs and, you know, go to Mrs. Stoo's, you know, dresser and look at all the nail bits she's got and go, oh no, I'll use those to cut me now. No, why would I do? That's too easy. I decided to pick it, and of course what happens, it pulls it and it pulls it and it goes all the way down. You think, oh, and then you're in agony every time you move your finger. And of course that's my clicky finger for when I'm using my mouse. So yeah, so every time I was doing pixels or whatever, you know, whatever I was doing, I was like, oh, it was hurt. The pain was real. So yeah, never learn. Right, done that bit. I'm just going to do a little bit of a highlight on the top here, which is just to bring the button up a little bit. There we go. I just want to bring them up so they look like they're being shaded slightly, but I don't want to do it so much so they look like they're bent, because there is a danger you can do it too much and then it looks like they're curved. So key is just to do it enough so you think they're bent, but they're not too much. Right, that's that. Okay, now then, got to do this bit now. So I'm going to do the top, and looking at these, it's got quite a strange kind of beveled edge to this. So I think the way that I'm going to do this is I'm going to just draw the lines in. Yeah, it's quite beveled, so I think way to do it is, I think I'll do it like that, quite loose. So I'm actually going to go over the edge bit that I'm going to go for. I mean, even here, like, see where I've done it very quickly when I was doing the actual book, and I've kind of not really followed it that precisely. So I'm going to do the same with the shading, because I want to just make it look like it's got the soft edging. So I'm not going to do this bit here because that's in shadow, but just going to do that there, and then we'll do that here. So, but I'm going to do this in time lapse, so I'll be back in a second and it'll all be done and lovely. Just finishing the last few bits and pieces off here. I think the mouse is pretty much done looking at that. I was going to I'll do a few more highlights on it, but there is a tendency to overdo it. Anyway, let's get back onto the keyboard, which I did start doing in one of the earlier videos. But one of the things I noticed when I put it into layout, the keyboard was sitting to the edge a little bit too much. So I thought what I'll do is I'll move it over. Now the issue I've got is all the shading layers and the fill layers all sort of set up for the whole image rather than being per item. So what I'm doing here is I'm just going to select the keyboard area, and I'm going to cut and paste each section out into its own layer, group it, well this is the plan is to group it under one keyboard group, move the whole lot over, and then rejoin some of the groups back up again. The reason I rejoin them is because I just want to keep the memory usage a little bit sort of more manageable, and also in the past, you can I've worked on illustrations where you've done, you have a zillion layers, or it feels like there's a zillion layers, and it's just like you just get lost. So one of the things I've tried to do as I've got more experience of doing this sort of thing is just to keep my layers as low as possible. I mean, what I try to do at the end is when I finished a drawing, I'll often group a lot of it together and merge stuff in. So if I know I'm not going to come back to illustration, I'll just merge it all together and just leave it at that, or save a copy of the file out and then use a merged version for for further editing later, so that I haven't got to worry about it. But so here you see I'm moving the layer in and move it over. I have got a guideline set up so that I can just keep it within it, but what I'll do is in the edit I'll superimpose a preview of the designer file for this, which will be a poster based off of the A500 version of the illustrations, which is available now on the shop if you want to have a look. I'm not saying go and buy one, I'm just saying if you want to have a look at what the A500 one looks like, you can go on the shop and have a look. It'll be the same kind of style with all the information on it. I did debate whether to go through and actually add a second option with the poster, so you have one without all the text, maybe just the title of the machine on. But I'm not sure yet. I'll see how I get on. But anyway, let's move the keyboard across, see, get that lined up. I've got my guideline on the left-hand side just so that I know roughly where it lies in relation to the poster design. And because these are going on the posters rather than just the canvas straight away, I'm not sure whether I'm going to do the same kind of thing with the canvas or not. Don't know yet. These are all sort of. I say that. I mean, I didn't originally plan to sell any of these as canvas prints or posters originally, but when I did the 4 postcards for the original colouring book, I don't know if you know the story of this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Neil said about doing some 4 postcards to give away as some of the backers for the original Kickstarter. So I did the 4 colour illustrations, and they were postcards, and I thought, well, maybe I should put one of these designs on as a canvas print just to see what it comes out like. So I was really pleased with the way the Apple IIe came out, so I thought, I'll do that as a test. Did it as a test, and it came out really, really well. I was really, really pleased, and I remember taking it to the cave, and it was like, oh, that looks good. So we ended up giving that away as a prize for the to Joe, I think it was, who won it, who got the best score in Galaxian on the day. And from there I thought, maybe I should do some of the other ones as colour posters, and well, not posters, colour canvas prints, and take it from there, because at that time I wasn't selling posters. Now I do, and that's pretty much how this all came about. And I thought, well, okay, let's do that. So these colour versions, they take a little while to do. Especially if I'm doing what I'm doing like this. If I'm doing them without the narration and all the video editing, and I usually fly through them. But yeah, so it's pretty cool how these have all come about. But the thing is, now I'm conscious of them being on posters. I'm now trying to adapt some of the illustration layouts to the poster format, so that I'm not making an uphill struggle for myself when I'm come to do the editing. So one of the things was this disk drive. I noticed when I was editing, the disk drive needed to be moved over a little bit because the text that I was trying to put in, there was too much gap either side. And the thing is, I'm trying to put text around it so that it fits in with the design of the other poster designs. So anyway, I'm rambling on. I'm going to switch to time-lapse when I do the actual editing of this disk drive bit, because the video's going to get long again, and I just want to keep them as short and condensed. And there's what else can I say? You know, I mean, I'm talking away, and it's different if we're in a pub and we've got a nice pint, or you know, a nice cocktail, or you know, pina colada, as Del Boy would probably have. But you know, I don't want to keep going on and on and on. So I think I'm going to go to time lapse for the next bit and have a nice little bit of music. I bought a load of music. When was that? I think it was last year. I bought a load of music off of. It was a humble bundle deal with audio production, and there's all this music, and I bought like a load of it, and I thought that'd be ideal for if I ever do video editing. You know, who'd have known, eh? So I've got a great little selection of music, all different types, which I use, and I'll be putting them in for time lapse. So which is great, because I don't like it when you do time lapse and it's just like nothing, and you just hear the like, and you think, oh, it's just, you just hear squidgely pencils or just nothing. I thought, oh, you got to have something in there. So I thought, well, that was a bit of music. So I'm going to go to time lapse shortly, and you can see the rest of the edit of this drive, and we'll carry on. I'll have a little chat afterwards. Well, that was a longer than expected delay between ending the last bit and this bit. New hard drive's installed, everything's working, so let's get back on it. I've gone to time lapse for this bit purely because I thought, well, it's quite a lot of stuff to draw, and I'm looking at the time of this video and it's already like, you know, we're into like 40 odd minutes, and I know we're going to probably hit the hour mark, so I thought I'll do this in time lapse and you can kind of see what I'm doing. I'm just adding in some extra detail which I hadn't put on the original drawing, purely because this is for, you know, this is for a coloured in version, and I wanted to keep it sort of a bit more detailed than it was before. Not really a lot to say, so I'm going to, if you can, you know, bear with me, I'm going to do this bit in and I'll be back in a minute with some more narration. So, see you soon. lot of this stuff under here is all got to be in shade, so let's select that and get that into shade now. Let's, the thing is, it's looking at this is actually above here. It's quite a, when you look at this drive up close, there's quite a lot of bits and pieces to fill in here, and I didn't realise when I did the original drawing for this that I'd be coming back to it and kind of getting in detail. But anyway, so yeah, I'm going to select this bit. This should actually be more of a bluey, because I'm looking at the case colouring. There's actually the metal used on here is actually more of a bluey sort of colour. It's got a kind of a blue tinge to it. So really and truthfully, I should have filled the rest of it in. So let's do that now. Yeah, do that there. Let's do the whole lot. Right, okay, let's do that. Fill, base fill there. Let's pick that colour there. Brush, fill it there. Let's use a big one like that. Look at that. So, I'll do that a little bit there. Okay, so I'm going to bring that up to grey because it's in shadow, but I don't want the blue on there, so I'm going to just bring this one back so it's a grey. And let's have a look. What else is there? I think these little tabs are more of a grey, and that little tab there can be grey. I mean, I'm not going to be too precise, because once I start adding all the shading to it, it's going to be a little bit easier to see what I'm doing. But I mean, with all this lot, you're just laying the foundation colours down. Right, so shade. Right, so I've done that. I'm going to unselect this because I don't want to overshade it. This bit here, when I look at the reference images, this actually comes down, and I don't know why I've done it, but that line there is a bit thick, so I'm going to have to. Yeah, look at it. That needs to go round. Right, okay. Let's do that bit first. Select this bit. Put. Yeah, I know what I'll do. I'm going to put that like that. That's above that. So all this bit here is going to be darker. So let's bring that down now. Not down there, but this bit isn't. So I'm going to go across here. And just bring that down. A little bit I missed. Probably won't make that much difference, but you know. And there's a little bit of a weird bit there going on, but that's all right. I'm not going to come up to this edge with the darkness anyway, because it's. I'm going to highlight this. I'm just going to lay a foundation colour on that, so it's a bit easier. Right, so where's the let's go to the that one there. That's the purpley blue. Let's go for that one there. Okay, crank that up a bit, turn that down a bit, about 5. You know me, like me number 5% on that. Let me just bring that over there. So I'm just, as I said before, it's just mainly to give it a bit of a texture, and then once I've added the texture to it, I can then go back and build it up. Yeah, so that like I did on this one. I mean, you didn't see me do this bit, but all this bit before when I did the base colour. But I mean, when I did this bit just now, it's really just kind of, when you zoom out, you don't really see a lot of that detail. So it's just so the eye doesn't pick up anything that doesn't look right. That's most of what it is, really. You're not sitting there to put endless amounts of detail in. I mean, I could do. I mean, I do get a little bit, you know, intricate with some of these details, but you don't really want to go through and just, you know, continually just add and add and add and add, because you'd end up like zoomed in and it's out of context for this drawing. So for me, this one has just got to be, you know, just so it looks all right. So we've got that one. Now, when I'm looking at these on the reference images, these are quite dark under here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it up a bit more, and then I'm going to go to black and bring that down a little bit more like that, and then just see, now that's what I want. So, and it'll just get darker and darker and darker. Let's make that a little bit bigger, and then just bring it over there. Just keep bringing it over, and then if you notice, I'm gradually moving the brush back a little bit just so I get that gradient, and then when I go over it again for the whole lot, it'll take the whole lot, all the values down. I'm trying to keep away from this edge here because I don't want to sort of colour this up too much. Well, I will have to go over it and erase some of this so that it highlights, because this edge here is actually catching the light. When I look at, I've got a few reference photos of this drive from different angles, and it's picking up a little bit of light here. So looking at it, I haven't got one in front of me, but I mean, looking at my reference photos I've got, it's got a little bit of an angle on this one, so I'm going to try and retain that when I do the colouring. So, but you can see I'm going in there, and I'm going to just take it down a little bit more. But this bit here, I want to really make it black because it actually goes into pure darkness there. So you don't really get a lot of the background colouring showing through. So it just really disappears it. And what that'll do, is it'll show that it's going in. And when I zoom out, you can kind of see what's happening. It's zooming out. I'm zooming out. What am I talking about? It's shading it in. It's giving you that perspective, and it's giving that depth. Before, when I take that off, I take the shading off, you see it's just flat. So just put that in, just have one layer of shading. You know, that's all it is, and it sort of brings the image to life. So I mean, you can go. You know, I mean, I probably could go a little bit darker. I mean, really, I could go really straight to black there. I mean, to be honest, it's just take the whole thing down. Just keep doing it. Bring that up there, like that. But you can see that shading is really adding to it, and also with the texture, it makes it a little bit sort of noisy, a little bit of noise on it, and it just adds a bit more interest to the eye. And I suppose in one way, it kind of moves it slightly away from, you know, a cartoony look where you just have blocks of colour and blocks of shading, whereas this is giving it a bit of texture. So, right, so I think I'm quite happy with that. I'm going to go in here, these bits next, and I'm just going to add in a little bit of smaller shading into these bits, because these bits here are actually like tabs. It looks like this bit here is moulded, and this is tabbed in, so there's like this weird fold over tab by the looks of it. So I'm going to bring in a little bit of shadow onto these bits. Yeah, I mean, you can see that on there, but I'm going to go to, let's go to that blue, just so it just a little bit of variation. And there we go, just like that. And then I don't like that. I'm going to go back to it with black. I don't normally use black when I'm shading, but yeah, that's not bad. Let's go in there like that, and then just a little bit. It's just so that it's again, it's just reinforcing that there's something going on under here. And do the other side like that, just bring it in there. I mean, there's not really a lot of light getting in there, so a lot of this is purely just down to kind of, I suppose, artistic license, really, just so that you kind of get an idea of what's there. And again, I'm going to go over here like that. I mean, you can do like some texture, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to leave it fairly sort of straight in there. Bring that up a bit, and there. There we go. That's what I'm after. Something like that. I mean, again, you won't really see a lot of this stuff, so it's just there in the background, just showing that it's got some kind of shading going on. Left that one quite loose there. I'm going to erase a little bit on this one, just not that's too much. Let's do 10%, just a little bit there. Just I want to bring that there. And then sometimes when you're doing this sort of stuff, you can get a lot more back when you just start erasing. When you start erasing stuff, it's it just kind of, it's like you're drawing with the eraser, you know. I mean, it just adds. See, now that's added that. I want to just blend that off a little bit. So just bring that in, and you know, it's still about kind of building it up. And that's exactly what I want. I just want a little bit of detail, but not enough to kind of stand out too much. But when you look at it, you just notice it. And I'm going to do the same with this edge here. This edge here is again in shadows a little bit. So I'm going to just put a little bit in there, and we'll take that up. So just bring the opacity up a little bit. Yeah, it doesn't have to be precise. It's just there just to reinforce it, and then just a little bit there, a little bit there. That's it. And that just makes that stand out a little bit, and a little bit here. There we go. Right, I've got to do something with this bit here because that's a bit naff. And again, I'll do the highlighting on here as well, so that's on there. I don't want to spend too long on these bits because I'll raise a little bit first. I don't want to spend too long on these bits because it's such a small amount of detail. You're just not going to see it. So I don't really want to be, you know, going through and shading loads of this up. So let's select this so I don't go over the edge. Sometimes you just kind of you know, you're drawing with something and you look at it and you think, oh, actually my brush is too big, and you end up overlapping. So the quick selection will just stop you from doing that. If your hand goes off like I've gone off there, and it doesn't really matter. Just want to bring that over there like that, just stroke that edge. And all I'm doing is I'm just revealing the background colour. That's all I'm doing. So again, you just get a little bit of highlight, and it's not a lot, but it's enough to make a bit of a difference. And I'll do the same to this bit here. Just raise that edge a little bit, and just bring it up. So I'll take that down a little touch. Just want to bring that edge here. There you go. And the same with this one. There we are, like that. Okay. So we're just building up that metal work up so that it looks kind of a bit shiny but a bit grubby at the same time. I'm going to go back at the end of doing all of this, and I'm going to add some grubbiness, which I'm probably going to do. That'll be in the final part. And the final part is just literally we'll be going over the drawing, just adding in little bits and pieces I've missed and little bits I've kind of like want to tweak. A bit of grubbiness here, like, you know, you might get a few little marks on the casing, and I don't want to dirty it up too much because a lot of the other ones I've done in this series have been quite clean looking. So I want to kind of retain these to retain the look of those, so it doesn't stand out. But just a little bit of wear and tear, but not too much. Just so it's just subtle enough to be picked up when you look into something a little bit detail. So right, that's that. I think I'm going to do this bit now. So we'll get on the highlight of this. So let's bring this over here. Select that one. And I'm going to just add a little bit of shade. Although it's in highlight, there is a little bit of you look at the reference images of these, and the metal's got kind of like it's like a kind of, I don't know what you would call it. It's like a brushed look to it, you know. So I'm going to go into this brush. I'm just going to bring that down. Yeah, that might work. If I do 5, I don't know what it is. I mean, it's 10's quite a good percentage, but 5 is just subtle enough so you can build the layers up. And I don't want to be in a situation where I'm drawing it and then having to go back over later and to erase bits because it's a bit too dark or whatever. And you come in, no. But at least when you do it, build it up like this, you can kind of see very gradually. See like that. See, it's just giving that little bit of a look, brush look. I'll do the same with this end, and it's like you get these little marks over the metal work, you know, that just stand out. So we've got that there. All right. So now I've done that, I can then go over the top and add in some highlights, and that'll really sort of make a big difference. I did notice that there was a little bit of you get a little bit of grubbiness here, a little bit of a colour here as well. It's just really strange when you look at this metal. It's like it's been made out of lots of little bits of metal that have been compressed together, and I don't know what the metal's called that they use on these things. But I mean, if someone knows, perhaps leave something in the comments to tell me what that metal, what the process is on these, because you look at them and sometimes you look at these old machines and, you know, it's like you look at the top. And this is just like one piece of metal that's been bent round. But then you look at some of this like moulding stuff, and it's like it's made out of lots of little bits of metal that's been squashed together and flattened out, and then they've moulded it into this kind of shape. But anyway, I've no idea what I'm talking about. Right, so I'm going to do the same with this bit. I'm going to add a few little blobs of texture on these ones, just so that it looks a little bit sort of as it should in the in real life, you know. These little marks that you get, and you know, it's just one of those things where you start doing it and then you think, oh, that's got a bit of detail, and you add a bit of detail, and then you kind of go off on one, and then you start adding detail here and there, and before you know it, you spent like half an hour adding lots of bits of detail in, which you wasn't originally planning on doing, but because you started doing it, you think, well, I've started, so I better go on and finish it, and before you know, you've spent like all that time adding little bits here and there. But if you look at the metalwork, it's got all these little weird kind of like dark areas, which is that process they use to manufacture these. So yeah, I mean, you see a lot of the old computers, all that. It's a lot of that sort of that kind of metalwork that they've got inside. Use the shielding is another thing that's interesting when you look at the shielding. So that's it. That's enough. I think that's enough. I mean, you're not going to see it. It's going to be, I mean, if you look at, say, an A3 print, you're probably going to see A3 is probably going to be about that size, I'd imagine. It's zoomed in. A3 is probably about, yeah, something like that. So obviously this is on my screen, so on your screen, whatever you're watching, is going to be a totally different scale, but hey ho. So yeah, I mean, that's probably about enough detail. Right, just need a bit of highlighting on that now. So let's go for a nice, let's pick something up from somewhere. What we got? There we go for this one down. Let's go for this kind of a white, almost. Yeah, it's pretty much white. Go for it. I'm not going to do a tint on it because I want it to be just white. So have I got a selection going? Right, let's select something. Let's do that. And I'm going to put in the highlight along here, but I'm going to select this because I don't want it overlapping onto the bottom area, because that would be a disaster, especially when you start adding shading on top of bits that are already shaded, because when you start erasing, you end up erasing the shading you've got on the other layer. I mean, you could add another layer and do it that way, but that wouldn't be much fun, would it? So right, so let's do that. So I've done that in there, so I'm going to start going through and adding just this highlight into the area here. Take my brush down a little bit, so I don't really want it to be too bright. Just bringing this up a little bit. I want to shade this middle bit so that it's got more of the highlight on it, but I want to do these edges first, just so it builds that up, and then when I come into doing this bit, I'll take it down to a shade. But what I'm going to do is remove this bit of selection here, because I've done that, and I'm going to just bring that like that. I mean, it's not a dead straight line, but that's fine. So I'm just unselecting this. Okay, let's hide that because that puts me off, and I'm going to bring that down to 5 because I'm going to build this up. And I'm going to do like that. So what the plan is to highlight the middle bit and leave these bits sort of with a bit of that shading in there. So I'm going to go over it. I mean, you can do the centre bit like that, and then when I go over in the middle bits, you kind of get. And then what I'll do is I'll go over and add some darkness to it afterwards. So if I bring that up a little bit, you should get a few little bits of highlight in there. So I'm not doing it I'm doing blobs of it. So because the metal has got that kind of look to it. So when you look at it there, you see you get kind of a bit of a shine going on. And I'm going to switch to this brush because I'm going to put a few little highlights in the centre, just like that. So which you kind of see. So because again, when you look at the image, it's got this kind of mottled effect going on it. So I'm going to try and retain that, but retain it in a way where it's not obvious. It's not like in your face. It's there if you look a bit closely, you kind of see it. So I'm just putting a few little bits on here, and it's almost like there's dabs of shading on it. There you go. And that's I think that's all right. That'll do. Any more and it overpowers the rest of it. So, and I'm going to go back into the shading and then just add a bit of dark to that. Just bring it down a little bit. That's a bit too much. I'll tell you what, if I pick that colour. That should be just enough to, yeah. Just so there's a few little bits of weirdness going on there. You know, a bit of blobs. That's a bit too hard. That I'm gonna go to that brush and do it with that one. Yeah, that's better. So let's go down to 5. Let's try 10. See what that looks like. Yeah, that might work. That's all right. I like that. A little bit like that. And again, all it's doing is just balancing it out so it looks like there is some kind of metal work that's true to the original. It's not just a blank piece of metal that's been bent, because when you look at them, they haven't got that. So I'll bring that one in there. Another little bit like that. A little bit like that. Yeah, that's it. That's right. I mean, when you look at this is the other one. The shielding on this. I think that's got the same kind of look, where it's got the on some of the machines they've got that. But I mean, on the reference photos I got this one, it hasn't got it on it, but it's quite dusty, the photo. I'll have to look have a look online, see if I've got any other reference images for the 1000. I mean, my one's packed away, so I can't really be bothered to go and get it. It's lazy, isn't it? I can't be bothered to go and get it out. But yeah, so that's a similar thing. So I might do the same kind of effect on there. Right, okay, so we've got that bit done. And let me have a look at my reference photo. I've got all these reference photos on the other screen with like zoomed in pictures of Amiga floppy drives. I mean, it's just anyone walking in think, it's a bit weird, Stu. You got an obsession with floppy drives, have you? So anyway, that's that bit. Right, let's do this bit here now, and see what that looks like. This is, I mean, when you look at it, you think, oh, there's not a lot there, but when you look at all the little bits and pieces that are made up around here, all this shading is going to have to make it look like it's actually, you know, true. Because if I just do blank bits of colour, and it'll just look too flat. So, you know, as you've seen with this bit here, I've kind of shaded it in there, and it's giving you that kind of depth. So I've got to carry that through this side, but unfortunately it does take a bit of time. And again, with this bit here, this lid is over the top, so to make that effect look really good, I'm going to have to make sure this shadow here isn't like too dark, but it's enough to show that this is over the top. I did it on the a good example of that is on the Apple IIe. I'll overlay the image for that in the edit, and you'll see, like, if I look at it now, you'll see on the Apple IIe, it was a similar thing where the power supply was sitting, and you get like this shadow, and it really looks you know, like it's there, because I took so long trying to work out, you know, the depth, and I built up gradually over layers, and I kept adding it. But I mean, when I first did it, it was a bit too dark. I thought, no, it's far too dark. It looks too dramatic. It doesn't look real. So I took it down, and eventually I kind of built it up slowly over a few little bits and pieces, and yeah, it kind of worked in the end, and it sort of just made the whole thing stand out. So yeah, I was really pleased with the way that Apple IIe came out. It's one of the earlier ones I did. So I think it was one of the first colour ones I did after the cover, and yeah, worked out really well. So right, so what I'm also gonna do. He says yawning. Oh yeah. Oh, excuse me. It's been a long day. It's only 10 o'clock in the morning, but it's been a long day. I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to add a little bit of the yellow to this, because I want to add a slight variation in the colouring. That's it. So just so it's almost like it's picking up a bit of the yellow from the casing, and I mean it's just, I don't know, just to give it a bit of a balance as well. So I'm not going to do a lot, just a few little bits here, just so that it softens the colours up. And I mean, you won't really notice it immediately, but it's just enough to draw it into these colours here. And I'll probably do the same along here, because this edge is actually let's do the edge while I've got that on my mind. Let's do this edge, because that can be ticked off then. Knackered that selection up, didn't I? Let's do that. And I'm going to tidy this up now. So let's save that out. I think I'm happy with that. I've got all my bits in now. I can do all the shading on the edges with the light. So right, let's go back down to here. Let's get me base fill. Why has I got two base fills? There's that one there. And I'm going to shade this up with the right colour. So yeah, so that's that one. Bring that in there. I'm going to keep it all this blue colour because the original is that blue. It's a weird colour actually. It's like I've probably gone a bit too bluey with this one, but I do that so that when I put all this gubbins on, it kind of takes it down and it kind of works together. I mean, if I'd kept it grey, I would have ended up with all this. It would have been too neutral. So I wanted a little bit of colour on it, and also it contrasts with the colour of the case. It's quite nice. Okay, so I'm on here now, aren't I? Woohoo! And then we've got the grabbiness, but I forgot to add this, so I'll add that to my list on there. Right, so let's do that. And I'm just going to take a quick break. You won't know that because I'll have paused it, and I'll be back in a minute. Right, I've had my little break, which actually turned out to be about 2 days. So that's what you call a break, isn't it? A 2-day break from for a long cup of tea. Right, so let's get on with this bit. Now then, I think what I'll do is I'll get this button done. I'm going to do a lot of this in time lapse, only because I'm looking at the video length, and I think we're getting a bit long now, so I'm going to do a lot of this in time lapse, so you can skip it if you want and fast forward to the end, or just watch me do this at speed, and we should get through this in no time. And there's not really a lot to talk about on this one, so it's all pretty much the same as what I've done before. A bit of shading, a bit of touching up there, or misses, and a bit more over there. And yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this all done here, and I'm going to shade this bit, and then I'm going to come back in part 8 and do the shadow for this section, because I am aware the time is getting on a bit now, so I'm going to add that to the part 8, and then we should be done. There's not really a great deal to do on this bit, so it's just the shading around here, so then we'll call that one a day. Right, so I will be back in a minute once I've done a bit more of this shading. Right, so I've done all of this stuff now, and it's not a little tab there I've got to finish, which I'll do shortly. It's not really, a task that you need to spend a lot of time doing. It's really, I mean, when you look at the scale of that, it's not really that much detail there. It's just filler. As long as it looks like a drive with its guts hanging out, that's all we're interested in. Like I said on previous videos, you're really just kind of like flinging the background so that the eye doesn't pick up on it, if that makes sense. So if something stands out like a sore thumb, for instance, if I'd shaded all of this in and I'd left this column white or light with no shade, then it would stand out like a sore thumb. But I just had a little bit of shading here and there. It just merges in, and you just see the whole image as a complete image rather than something sticking out like it needs some work doing. And that's all we're doing at the moment, just going through and just adding these little bits here just to finish it off and add a little bit of depth to it. And I mean, when I come back to doing the final part, I may go through and just add a few little bits of grubbiness to it afterwards, but I'm trying to do it as I go. So I'm trying to add a little bit of grubbiness to it as I go, so that, you know, when I look at it, I think, yeah, that's fine. So that little tag there that's needs to be attached. There's another one up here that I need to do, but I'm basically going to work my way around now. So I've done this. Going to work my way around this side. I'm going to shade the interior bit off now, and so we'll select that area, and like I've just done, I'm going to do that in time lapse. What I will say while I'm doing this, and then you'll see that I'm going over it like I do before, getting that texture on there, and I erase it, and if for some reason it just kind of softens it. I think the eraser is using obviously the same brush, but it's not using doesn't seem to be using exactly the same pixels, so you get like offsets and you get like a bit of an in-between shading going on. So I've done that base shading now. I'm not doing in here yet because that's actually a much darker area, so I'm going to do that after. But in here I'm going to just bring that down and just see. So I'll be back in a second with more of it. Okay, so you've got the start of this area here being shaded. What I'm doing here is I've added the shadow here, which will then be, if you look at that, that's kind of hinting that that's being cast by this lid. When I finish this bit off, I will then add let me try and explain this. There's a bit here where this rests along the lid here, so this is actually resting on the top of the drive, so the shadow here will start and it will come across like that, and then it will go across there, so it's being cast, so it's going this way. So what I'm doing here is I'm kind of setting this up, really, I suppose. I'm setting this up by putting some darker area here, which is basically being cast from this bit, and then when it gets to here, it will just reinforce this bit of shading here. So I'm kind of doing that now, and then when I come to do this bit, I'll have that as a guide, so I can say, yeah, I know that it's almost like you're trying to follow where the light wouldn't fall, you know, where it's being masked out. So that's why I've done this bit here. I think I'm going to go a little bit darker on here. Let's have a look. Yeah, I think I will go a little bit darker. And let's select this again. I don't need to go all the way down there. Yeah, I think I'm gonna just go a little bit darker on that bit. I'll do this bit here as well, and I'm not worried about that because I can do it afterwards. Yeah, so it's just trying to make it look like there's a shadow there, but it's not really focused, if that makes sense. So it's got the edge for it, but it's not like a sharp edge, so you can kind of see what's happening. So it's kind of hinting that there's a line which will be this here, but it's not detailed enough to kind of differentiate a line. It's kind of like a bit blurred. I don't want it to be too, so if I do too much, it gets a little bit too precise, and I don't really want it to be too precise. So I mean, I'm quite happy with that, and I'm going to shade this down here a little bit because that is really dark under there. Yeah, and then that kind of works. So yeah, that's not too bad. So that's that bit done, and I won't work on this bit now. So I'll be back in a few what you say. Well, it could be seconds, it could be minutes, depends how quickly I work. But I'll be back in a few. Did anyone spot the mistake? Yes, when I was selecting, I was too keen and I missed a bit. That's not good, is it? But not all is lost, because what I can do is I can bodge it, and I'm just going to take my brush here, and I'm just going to do a little bit of a bodge. This is a bit of a bodge going on, so I'm just going to bring that line there and just bring it out. You won't notice it. Hang on. He says, right, there we go. So what I'll do is bring that there and just, there we go. I don't do things like that very often, but to be honest, it's such a minor detail, but it's enough to show. I mean, some of it I like it. So when you get a little bit out of the line, it kind of adds a little bit of personality to the illustration. But without that, it's just me being slack. So right, so I've done this bit here. A little bit of sort of secondary shading going on there with a bit of secondary shadow stuff going on there, and I think we'll tackle this other side here now. Right, so I've done most of the side. I've got a couple of little bits here to finish, here and here, as you can see. So I'll just do these bits, and then I'm going to fill in this section here. I'm then going to do the top of the drive, and I think that's it. I might put a few little highlights on here and there, because I do like a little bit of a highlight now and again, you know, not on my hair, although I suppose I could have my hair highlighted. Be a bit 80s, wouldn't it? But for now, I'm just going to highlight a few of these bits. So I'm just going to get this bit here done. I won't put that in time lapse because I've just come off of that, and it feels a bit impersonal just sitting there watching me do this without any kind of sound other than a little bit of music playing. So just bring that down there. Because the light's coming down there, I'm kind of forcing it so that your eyes look at this bit. On the actual reference photos, this bit is actually shiny, but I'm not going to pay too much attention to that. I'm just going to put a little vertical line down here, just to kind of show that there's it does show that on there actually, so let's put that on there, about there. Yeah, that kind of works. A little bit up to there. Yeah, just a little bit of an edge there. Let's delete that bit on the edge. Just make sure I've selected it, because I don't want to be doing it on the whole area. So I'm just going to erase a little bit off the edge. Let's take the opacity up a little bit just so I'm getting a bit more off, and there we go, that's it. So a little bit at the bottom there, another little bit there, a bit like that. There we go. And what else is there? A little bit here. Just a little bit of experiment, just trying something out. Let's see if that what it looks like. No, I don't like that. Don't like that at all. Let's go back to what I was originally doing, which is bit there, bit there, bit there, bit there, bit there, bit there. Yeah, that kind of works. Put that down, put up there. Okay, and then I want to just put a little bit on here. Bring that up to there. Well, I'm not, as I said earlier, I'm not going to go and make this, you know, photorealistic or anything like that. It's just to give it a little bit of a hint that there's a bit of shininess here. So I'll just put a little bit there. The light's just shining off. It's coming off of here and off of here. So there we go. So it's just a little hint. There's a little bit of shininess going on. Right now, there's a little bit of shadow I think I'm going to put on here. I'm going to just colour this bit in here, and then these bits here are pretty dark, so I don't really. I'm going to have to do them individually because I don't want to block colour them. So I'm going to just do them with this brush for now. Let's put that on there. So that's that one. Bring it down. Just bring it down like that. I'll do the same for this one. As I said, I'm not doing too much of a detail there. It's just giving it a little bit of depth with this colouring there. That's a little tag, so that kind of, let's take it down a little bit, and then shadow, a little bit of shadow there, I think, just across there. So it's just picking up a little bit of light, but not a lot. And then what I'll do is I'll just take this edge, and I'll just erase this edge a little bit, just so there's a little bit of a highlight on the edge there. Again, I'm not actually, I'm doing it on the highlight level, but I'm not really bothered at this stage because I should be on the shade, but it really doesn't matter because they're effectively the same kind of thing. One's highlight and one's adding shade, but at this sort of level it doesn't really matter. On here I'm going to put a little bit of a highlight on, so bring it up to white. Opacity is 20%. Let's bring that up a little bit higher. Would help if I actually selected it, wouldn't it? What a muppet. Let's put it on there, down there, and then I'll do the bit behind. I don't know why. I mean, I know there's a lot of artists when they do this. They always seem to work. They work. I mean, I suppose because I'm used to doing pixel art, I always like to get in really close. And I know you know this isn't really pixel art at all, but I do find that it just works for me when I go in that level. I mean, you're never going to get that close when you look at the actual finished art print. You're going to see, you know, probably depends on what size you go for. But I mean, even if you go for like an A3, you're probably looking at, you know, you won't see that much detail. But I mean, if you blow it up to say I don't know, A2, even A1 is excellent. I love A1, but it's just where you're going to put them. But yeah, I mean, then you'll start to see all this detail. But it's there if somebody wants to buy a big print of this, then it's available. But it's having the space. I mean, where did you put these things? Right, that's got to be shaded off. I don't know what that line is there. I think that's just a bit of a background detail. Yeah, it's like something on the bottom of the case. So I'm just going to take that, just almost like block fill that one really. Right, let's do. What colour was it? I think it was this blue, wasn't it? That one. Okay, zoomy in and out. There we go, that's what I want. Bit down, and I've missed a bit, never mind. Right, there we go. And let's do a little bit of a contrasting colour. It's nice to get the colours mixed a little bit. You get just a little bit of a dirtier look with it. And then I can just erase a few of these bits. I'm going to erase this bit here because that bit is joined to this bit. So what I'm going to do is just going to erase a little bit of it here, and then that'll merge the two areas together. So you see what I mean? So it's like there, and then that's kind of almost like, I think this is like a bit that goes across a strut or something. I'm not quite sure. Can't really tell on the photo. The photo doesn't go into that much detail. So I think there's like a little support or something here. Right. Okay. Let's put a little bit of a shade in there. Right, that's that there. That'll do. I'm gonna put a bit of black just to fill it in a little bit more. And I think that bit's, yeah, that's not too bad. Like I said earlier, you know, it's just to give you an idea that there's a sort of disk drive there with its guts hanging out, and there's, you know, right. So that's all that bit done. I'll see what I'll do when I come back. I'll put a few little highlights on here and little bits here, but I'll do that at the end. Right, let's get this bit done now. This is actually goes under, so I'm going to just do this, and I'll be back in a minute once I've done it. Right, that bit's, I think, done. Yeah, that looks alright. What I was doing there is, because on the, you probably didn't notice it, but on the, because of the way the lines are, I left this bit open. I mean, this bit here is actually dark, and it's like a kind of a folded bit of metal there. And this bit folds down, but I didn't want to put a black line across this because I wanted to give that kind of almost like a bent soft edge to it. There's a few little bits where the casing's moulded and moulded. What are they? What are these things? They're shaped, aren't they? I think they're like pressed into shape, and there's a few holes and little bits. So I just put a few little highlights there just to show that that's actually standing proud of the case there, of the top of it. And this bit here is actually folded down slightly. So I wanted to have kind of an edge there, which shows that it's been folded. And so yeah, so that's what that is. And I mean, I might take that down a little bit actually, looking at it, because it's what's my selection? Yeah, I think I will. I'll just take that down a little bit, and that way these highlighted areas will stand out a little bit more. So I'll take the opacity down, go into erase, just bring this centre bit. It won't notice too much, but it'll just be enough to set these out. Yeah, there you go. I mean, it's almost like you have to look at it with your eyes kind of like in a kind of blinkered way. So you kind of, and then you just see like the highlight, it goes a little bit darker, and the highlight there. Yeah, I'm happy with that. That's fine. So I'm gonna do this little bit here now. These little bit, which is quite dark. So not a lot of detail. More to do with just direct sort of darkness that's in that section. Let's do that. Let's do that there like that. I'm going to leave the edge. I'm going to leave the edge there, and I'm going to feather the. No, I won't feather the edge. I'll leave it like that, and I'll just bring that down. I don't want to get too carried away. Let's choose that one. The good thing when you start doing, you get to quite an advanced stage when you're doing this sort of stuff, is you can often pick up the colours from the canvas rather than going back to your source if you're doing these little bits like this, because it doesn't really matter. I mean, like there. See, I've just done that section there. And that's fine, you know, that's exactly what I want. I want the edge to be highlighted, and that's it. Just got this little tab bit to sort out. That's bends in from there. So again, I'll do the same thing. I'll leave the edge about there. This is almost like doing pixel art, isn't it? And we come off there. Right, so this bit will all be shaded up now. So again, same thing there. Bring that down, and that's kind of rounded off. There you go. So that's bent in and just kind of rounded a little bit. And then the last little bit on this section is this little bit of metal which is sitting there, which I don't know what that is. It's like kind of, yeah, just kind of sitting there. So I think that's an overexcited black line there. I think that should be a little thinner, this one, so I'm just going to leave it as it is because it looks all right, doesn't it? It's fine. Just bring that down there, just so it kind of reinforces that it's been shaded. And I'm going to cheat and put in a little bit of a black line there. So let's put that up there, bring that down. Turn my selection off. Why is that not working? Is that, it's probably because I've got highlighted on there. Yeah, that's probably why it's on highlight. So let's put it on there and delete it. There we go. Bring the brush size down a touch, up a little bit. Just there we go. That's better, and then that can go straight across. Yeah, I think that. Let's do that like that. Here we go. That's better. Right. So save that off, and then let's do this top. Right, okay. So as I said a little earlier, I'm not going to do the shading of the top with the shadow. I'm going to do the top shading without the shadow, and then I'll apply the shadow on the next video. So first things first is kind of build this level up here. It's kind of like quite a grubby grey colour on the actual reference photos, and it is. So I'm going to add the grub after, but I'm just going to do a nice sort of blanket shade of colour there. This is quite nice one actually. Where is it? It's this one here. Where is it? Picked it up from earlier. Yeah, this one. I quite like. This is quite a dirty looking colour, isn't it? So I quite like that. So let's bring that over. You see, got a nice little bit of text. Oh, got a bit excited, didn't I? Shouting away. It's nice, and it's just a nice bit of texturing on that brush. I love this brush. It's just such a cool brush because you can do that, and then well, I've said this before, haven't I? And then you can just erase it, and it kind of just smooths it as well. So a bit of effort, but you get that nice little bit of texture, and that's why I love doing with colouring pencils. You know, colouring pencils just kind of give you that little bit of texture. You get the nice bit of the correct paper, and you can get a really good range of textures on your you know, your pencil strokes, which you should try that on sort of, I don't know, different grade paper, and you get the different grades of texturing, which is the thing. And the great thing about colouring pencils is that, you know, you can build up layers. Probably why I like using them. You know, I mean, I like building up with layers on this sort of stuff. It's exactly the same thing. So I'm going to put a little bit of grubbiness on here, but not go too far. So I want a little bit of the let's have a bit of this bluey colour on there as well, just to give it it's weird because you don't normally see too much, but it's just enough to take it on. So I've done that. Now I'm going to pick up a bit of the colour from here because I want something that's a bit more of like a sort of greeny yellowy shade. So it's a little bit down. This is quite nice, this one here, and let's put that in there. Take the brush size down. I'm just going to go over it. It'll just take that off so it's a little bit less of a neutral grey. I mean, you probably won't see it on the video. I don't know if it will pick it up. And this is all really laying the foundations when I come back and do the grubbiness. I'm just erasing and plotting, drawing and erasing. Just doing that, just so I can smooth off the colours a bit. And obviously the light to dark, because the case is in shadow here. I think I mean, looking at, if I trace the line across, I mean, the shadow's going to go from here, and I think it's probably going to go like this. I mean, like this, and it's going to kind of branch off and then go over to this corner. So pretty much all of this is going to be in shade, apart from this little edge bit. So by doing this, I'm reinforcing that depth. I'm kind of creating that, because when you go, you know, here, you've got like the light, and you're when it gets darker, your eye sees that as being in kind of more perspective, because it's reinforcing those lines with the depth. So you look at it there, you can see. So when I do this bit, that'll bring it up even more. And the important thing to do is not to get too carried away, because obviously the deeper the gradient from, like, you know, the extreme from dark to light, the more extreme that distance is being pushed to. So to keep it fairly subtle, but enough to show that there is some depth there. So I'm going to do this bit now, and we'll take it from there. I mean, I've messed that up there a little bit. I've kind of selected one, but I can fix that in a minute. I'll just reinforce the black line, and we'll sort that out. And I'm going to do the label separately because I do not want to shade it with the same colour I'm shading this kind of metallic blue colour, because it's just a bit sort of weird otherwise, because I want to make the label quite grubby, and I don't really want a lot of blue on it. I want it to be more like a, I don't know, greeny browny colour, not too much, just enough to make it look like it's yellowed. I mean, the base colour could actually be more of a cream colour rather than this kind of neutral grey, but that doesn't matter at the moment. Right, let's go back in here. Once I've done that colour, I'm going to pick this one up again because I like this one. This is quite nice. There's quite a thing I like about Critters. The colour picker is pretty cool. It's I like the fact you can see, you know, what you've got currently picked, and I mean, if I pick that one, I go back in, it's now showing me what I've already got picked, and then I can do a contrast. So if you're looking for two colours that are you want similar to each other, you know, but there's just a slight variation, you can then get quite a nice degree. Like, say if I go there and I say I want something a little bit darker, I can go there, or I can go a little bit lighter, and I can see the contrast between the two. But for this, I want it to be sort of, that's not bad. Yeah, I'll go for that one. Yeah, that'll do. Yeah, so I wouldn't say it's a bit dirty looking, but not too much, because this is actually quite bright on the photo, and I don't really want to ruin the brightness of it. I want to, you know, keep it fairly sort of bright, but I just want what I want is that texture on it. That's all I want. So I'm just lightly going over it just to get that little bit of texture. If I zoom in, you'll see it. Just so it's not flat colour. I don't want flat colour on it. I want it to be nice and, you know, nice and textured. And then I'm just going to bring it in a little bit more over here, and this is setting it up for when I add the shadow. That's all I'm doing. I'm just setting it up for that shadow bit that I'm putting on after. And there you go. You can kind of see the depth is starting to creep in there. You're kind of getting that idea that there's a bit of depth to it. And I'm just erasing it now, and then I'm just going back over it again, just like that, and just erasing it. There we go. So again, you can see that's starting to take shape. I'm going to put the edge on. There will be highlights on this, because on the original photo I've got a couple of photos. I've got about, I've got 4 angles of this. I've got quite a few different angles of this, and you can kind of see that there's like a highlight on one edge, and there's you know, there's a few bits where it's darker. The only thing I've done, because this was for obviously the colouring book, this bit here, brush is a bit big there, this bit along here is actually a curved edge. So I'm just debating whether I should actually take this black line off and do what I've done here, so it's a curved edge. I might do that actually. And this is a separate plate, this bit. Again, this bit here, there's actually a gap between the metal there. The metal looks like it's been folded over, and there's like a plate here, and then this plate joins this bit, but I might just leave it. I don't really want to make work for myself when you're not really going to see it. I mean, it's such a small piece of artwork on there. When you look at the whole thing, it's probably not worth putting in that little bit. But I'll see how I feel at the end. I mean, that's a very simple fix to put in, so I'll see how I feel. Right, I'm going to fix this bit up now, because I don't really want. I'm going to do it on the actual. Where's the external drive? Yeah, I could do it on here. I want to get that black line on there, so let's go back to this. Is the actual brush I use for all the colouring book. This one, these are the actual brushes I used for when I did the colouring book, and this one particularly is the one that all these lines are made of. It's this dirty edge one. I really like it. You can see it's got like a kind of a, you know, if I put like, you can see it doesn't quite have a smooth edge, and I really like that. And I think this was one of the default brushes. I can't remember if I tweaked it. I probably did. It's been a while since I set this one up, but it's just a nice brush to use. And I want that one to kind of go across like that. There we go. Let's fix that now. I wanted it to show that it's not quite attached. And I'll bring this in. I'm going to draw this one by hand without actually using one of the tools. Just bring that like that, and then that's it. And in the black there, I went for a lighter colour, and then I'm going to that's it. So it's not quite. See, the thing of this is not quite solid. It's got like kind of a bit of a edge to it. And same with this one. The edge is actually rounded edge. So again, to make it sort of true to the original, let's go back. Where did I do that? Redo. Control Shift Z. Yeah, I didn't like that one. Alright, let's do that. Let's turn that round. There we go. Just so it's a little bit curved, not too much. There we go. I sometimes worry it's because I'm used to pixel art. Working at that level just kind of becomes second nature to me. So, I mean, I don't see a lot of artists on using Critter in this way, where you go to that level, but I've always done it, and I think it's because I'm stuck in the world of pixels all the time. So for me, going in at this level is just like, yeah, that's natural. Whereas I think a lot of people just stay at this level and do it. But there you go. Right, okay. And again, this bit here is wrong. This I think is it wrong? I think this is actually. I've got a feeling this line should actually go down there. I'm just looking at that. I'm going to fix that now. That's actually a line that should just go to there. Yeah, that should go like that. Right, I'm going to fix that. So that's the other thing. When I did this, a lot of it was done, obviously, to be coloured in by you. But coming back to it, there are little things where I've done them purely just to keep the time, you know, in perspective of when I was creating them, and I've obviously drawn a few lines in the wrong place, or not in the wrong place, but I've kind of omitted a few things out, you know, artistic license, I suppose. But that's it. Right, so I'll fill that in after. I can fix that up there. So that goes there, and then this is like the reflection of this bit. So but I'll remove that off, and then that way that carries that on there. And I'm also going to put a little edge on here, just in there, which shows that is actually a separate piece of the, yeah, that's what I want, just so it's a separate piece of the image, and that then curves around like that. So it's just hinting that there are things there, and we'll leave that like that. That's it. I'm happy with that, and then I can just finish this bit off here afterwards. I'll just take that down. Right, so go back to the shade. I'm going to take this down quite deep now. Let's zoom that up there, like that. It's quite dark. Let's bring that down. There we go. So that's now dark. A bit of black. And bring that down like that. That's it. Right. So that's what I want. Okay. And just one little bit of fixing on the edge, eraser tool, and then just go in, I'll just take the edge up, just so that it's kind of picking up a little bit of what's coming out the back, like that. That's it. I'm not going to do too much on that. That looks fine. Okay, now then, just to make sure, I've just remembered there's a base fill there. I've got to fill that with colour, because if I don't fill that with colour, when I come to put it on the art print, you see like it's showing the background through, that's not going to work. So let's just fill that in now and be done with it. And now that's it. Now then, yeah, that's it. I'm happy with that. Okay, right, so we've got that done. So I've got the base. I'm just going to do this label, and I think this section is now done. So I'll be back in a few seconds or minutes, depending how long this won't take long. anything else I can see on there that I've missed? No, nothing there. Nothing. That looks all good. That looks all good. That looks all good too. I think, yeah, that's not bad. I think that's not bad. The shading on doesn't need to really be done because the line art's doing the work for you. So for me anyway, because it's narrowing off, and because it's narrowing off, it's kind of creating this illusion that it's getting darker and darker and darker, and then it's getting lighter and lighter as there's more. The same on the bottom here. So again, it's drawn for a colouring book, so obviously you don't want to be sitting there doing loads of different shading. You can just do one set of colour here or leave it white for the original. But there you go. So I think that's not bad actually. Right, so next job is to do the top of this one here. So I'm going to do that in time lapse. It's pretty simple now. I'm just going to do a bit of shading on here. Got a sort of rounded edge on this bit, and then obviously this is all going to be in shadow, which will be pretty much like a block colour. So I'm going to do that first, and I'll be back in a little while with it all done. Okay, right, I think that looks pretty good. I'm quite happy with that. I've got a few little bits I'm going to probably come back to, but yeah, that looks all right. So I think that about wraps it up for this one. We got the hard drive done eventually. I mean, yeah, all right, it's not 100% finished, but I think the base colouring and all that shading is looking pretty good, albeit not without the grubbiness that needs to be added, because it needs a bit of grubbiness. But yeah, so thanks for watching, and part 8 should be the finale. Ta-da! Oh, I can have a cup of tea now. Right, see you next time. Cheers. Bye.